The coal one passed. Oh, hey, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Rebel News. It's our daily roundup. It's way late in the day. We're plagued by technical difficulties, including my own. If I am looking at you out of the corner of my eye, it's because my monitor just went bananas. And so normally there's a monitor that sits right behind my camera. And so it appears as though I'm talking to you and I'm talking to my camera, but not today, friends. Not today. I have to only guess what my friend Lise Merle's reactions are to the hilarious comings and goings out of Canadian politics. I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. This is Rebel Roundup. This is our daily news and opinion show. It is so painfully live today. We're delayed and also plagued with technical difficulties, but there's Lise being a real
Hi.
trooper out there in Regina, Saskatchewan. Lise, how's it going?
Well, it's going amazing, Sheila. And like I always like to say, better late than ugly. Okay. We're here a little bit behind, but we're still the show must go on. And we're delighted to do it for you, Canada. So
Yes.
let's get at her.
For those of you who are actually watching us out there today, and you want to get involved in the show, one of the best ways to do that is by way of a paid chat on Rumble. If you're watching us there, it's a Rumble rant. If you're watching us on YouTube, it is a super chat. Those are their paid chats. Also on YouTube, if you'd like to get involved in the show, support the work that we do out of the goodness of your heart and not thanks to Mark Carney forcibly extracting the cash out of your pocket. You can leave us a paid comment over there. It's called a super thanks. So those are the rules. The show is going to be tight and tidy today because at 3 o'clock Mountain, that's sort of our staff meeting. So you have to say goodbye to me. You have to say goodbye to Efron behind the board because we have to wrap up the news for the rest of the day. So we wanted to talk about the United Conservative Party annual general meeting. We touched on it a little bit of it yesterday on the live stream with David Menzies, but he's an Easterner. He doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it.
Just
and
had to be there. You just
yeah,
had to be there.
and the thing is, Lise was there with me. And it's funny because I went to the Saskatchewan Party AGM and I thought, wow, this is fun. But I
Isn't
warned
this
her
cute?
that
Isn't this
it was
cute? Sheila Gunn said, "Oh, this is
it
adorable."
was quaint. It was quaint. It was like a family reunion. And about as many people, and I say that tongue in cheek. 900 members converged to give Scott Moe an endorsement through a leadership review, but the UCP AGM, 4,500 people, and it wasn't even the biggest one. Our biggest one, I think, was last year for a leadership review for Danielle Smith. 6,000 people went to Red Deer,
Mhm.
but quite something. The separatists played, I think, a not outsized role in the United Conservative Party AGM, in that I firmly believe about 90% of the people who are UCP party members are also in favor of independence, separation, whatever you want to call it, whatever that looks like. And they think Danielle Smith is a perfectly fine caretaker in such time as we leave Confederation. Now, Premier Smith gave an excellent speech, lots of applause. Nobody booed her. I don't think anybody was booing her when you heard boos. It was a boo of Canada's treatment of Alberta within Confederation. Post that speech, and we'll get to some of the parts of the speech in a minute. Post that speech, we scurried upstairs to the media room and we were able to ask the Premier some questions. We talked about mine yesterday just because my question to her was, look, Russia's not doing this carbon tax stuff.
Mhm.
OPEC's not doing this carbon tax stuff. America's not doing this carbon tax stuff. And even Brookfield knows it because they're heavily invested in pipelines in the United States. So why are we doing this? And if we are doing it, and it appears we are, what pipeline company in the right mind would invest in Canada was my question to her. And her answer was basically, well, we hope they do. Yeah, me too.
we're we're hoping for the best.
Ditto sister, but that's not how you build a viable energy-based economy. But Ezra asked a question about this nonsense about BC having a veto over what we do here in Alberta, because even though the Memorandum of Understanding has no BC veto, the partner in this Memorandum of Understanding, Prime Minister Mark Carney, won't shut up about giving BC a veto. So we need to ask that question. Also, that lady in the mask works for CBC.
Oh, I
So
was just gonna say, thank you
yeah,
so much for point I was like, "What? Is this from 3 years? Is this from 5 years ago?" I was gonna
no,
say to I
that's
was gonna nope.
CBC.
Current day CBC. Okay.
CBC. Anyways, Ezra asked about the BC extremists who are probably seeing their little coffers filled up with foreign money to block Western Canadian pipelines. And this has a uniquely Saskatchewan bent because he
Sure
asks
does.
about Nutrien.
Oh, we
Oh,
have
we
no
can't hear this,
audio.
Efron. We have no audio. Let's
Let's
try her again. All right.
You
Like I
know, the
said,
day keeps
hide.
getting better and better. Just when you think things can't go more sideways, they just do, and it's fine, and we're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah. And
Um,
if Efron, if you were telling me that you're trying to fix it, I also can't hear that. So I have no idea what's going on anymore. But we got it now. Whew.
okay.
Perfect. Let's hear it. Oh,
Oh,
okay. He's just working on it now. Yeah, this is the never-ending problem with being live. Are we good now? I hear static in my ear, so maybe we are. No?
not quite.
Not quite. Anyways, the gist of Ezra's question, in case we never get to it, is, and that's not a slight at Efron, it's just the
Mm-mm.
technical goblins are infesting us today. Basically, have you considered pulling the old Saskatchewan on BC?
Yeah,
And
and sending your product straight south instead of west into British Columbia, who seems to be real inhospitable to our exports.
right. And frankly, a lot of the Trans Mountain oil goes to Cherry Point Refinery anyway in the United States. Anyways, let's watch Ezra.
I want to say thanks to you for allowing a spectrum of journalists to ask you questions that's different than your federal liberal counterparts. My question is about Nutrien, the Saskatchewan company that chose to export through the United States in part because of the political risks associated with going through BC. There were some other issues too, but have you contemplated if Premier Eby and the extremists and just the cost impositions of this MOU deter a pipeline from going west, would you consider a pipeline going south through the United States, or even reigniting the Keystone XL pipeline that has not only Donald Trump's support, but allegedly the Liberal government's support? Do you have a plan B?
I don't want to give up on Plan A, which is to get a pipeline to the Northwest BC coast, because quite frankly, that was the one we always should have built. That was the one that would have opened up the most new markets for us. And I think it's the one that is going to be the most profitable from a point of view of being able to build new lines. We'll continue doing that work. When it comes, there's a couple ways I look at Nutrien's decision. I have spoken with the Heisla band, who manages the Kitimat export facility, and they were disappointed. They would have liked to have been considered on that. I know that they're not that keen on a bitumen pipeline, but they are keen on developing their infrastructure for everything else. So I'll make sure to raise that with Premier Moe to see if there are future opportunities to look at the potential for Kitimat. The second thing I'd say is it's pretty clear that a lot of the problems that we have in Canada are related to work stoppages. Airlines, ports, rail lines. It's been just a rotation, one after the other after the other. And I noticed with some interest in the federal budget that they are creating a mechanism to order binding arbitration with limits around policy and around the potential cost for government. So I'm looking at that legislation, thinking if you can get work stoppages completed faster and still be able to have a mechanism to resolve them through binding arbitration that doesn't leave an open end, that may create the kind of certainty that we're looking for. I know that when I was talking with our federal counterparts, I said, you got to do something, because I felt like every day or every other day for a solid 6-month period, I was asking for them to end one strike or another. So we've got to fix that. If we're going to be a reliable supplier, we have to make sure our supply chains are secure, are truly secure.
Thanks.
Okay, but if we do, okay,
Exactly.
if we are committing to plan, if all of a sudden this project to BC's northern to Tidewater on BC's sort of northern edge, where are we going to put that product when it gets there? We still have a tanker ban in place, Canada. We're going to build a pipeline to nowhere where our product gets there,
Right.
and then nothing, then we can't ship it anywhere.
And
That makes
BC is
this makes
saying that. They're like, even if you get that pipeline, we're against the tanker ban. And it's like, oh, so we're just going to dump it in the
No,
bay?
seriously. This is like this plan seems really, really not well thought out. There are much better options for Alberta's exports. They are south. It would even be better to send it east rather than to deal with BC's craziness. And it just, you know what? It's just so off brand for Danielle Smith to marry an idea that originates from Ottawa, to accept a proposal that Ottawa gives her with really no fight in it. I don't like anything about it. There's nothing to like about this new agreement that Alberta
No,
struck with Ottawa.
no. And I had an interview earlier today with Chris Sims of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and
Mm,
we were sort of talking about this because she's drilling down on the dollars and cents as she always does. And she's 100% right on how this will be an increase in the industrial carbon tax. And everybody knows that if the cost of growing tomatoes goes up, the cost of your spaghetti sauce goes up. Everybody knows that. And it is the same with oil and gas. It is, Premier Smith obviously understands how supply chains work. Well, adding a tax along the supply chain will
mhm.
cause the increase of the end good to go up. It adds to production costs, $6 to $10 a barrel for the junior producers to absorb, and they're going to have a tough time doing that. I just don't appreciate the gaslighting of some of
Yep.
the people in the official conservative types treating me like I'm stupid and I can't understand what I'm reading. The part of my job is to read complex government documents and understand them in a way that normal people can digest them. I know what I read. I understand economic base. This is real basic economics, right? You add a cost here, the cost is also still existing down there. Somebody doesn't just absorb it and says, you know what, this is my civic duty to
Yep.
absorb it. That's not how it works. I don't appreciate any of it. I
And
understand this.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Rath said it last week on the Buffalo Roundtable Best. He was like, "This is a what did he call it? He called it a memorandum of underachievement." And
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. There is
Yeah.
no good news in this for Westerners. There's no good news in this for Alberta.
There's there's
As a
too much
matter of fact,
magic beans. There's too much magic beans in all of this.
well, it's like we conceded everything to Ottawa for the chance of a maybe imaginary pipeline one day. And sorry, guys, that's not good enough at this point.
Right.
You best come with your biggest diamond if you're going to propose to us, buddies. And you didn't. You gave us more of the excuse me. Oh, I was about to drop one. Baloney, the eco baloney. And Alberta signed on to it. I just
Yeah.
can't believe that this was positioned as some sort of a win. And the people of Alberta, the people of our Alberta, and especially UCP supporters are also not wild about this plan.
They saw
They,
right through it.
oh, as soon as I mean the project, the announcement of the project did get booed, like unceremoniously shut down, and that
Right.
was Danielle Smith for all of her wins, and she has many.
Many.
This was just not one. So we're just
Yeah.
gonna, yeah.
Yeah. Alberta has to pay an increase in carbon tax regardless. And the only time the feds have to meet their obligations, and this is not a legally binding document, so
Mm.
they don't have to meet their obligations, is if a pipeline construction is finalized. And only then will there be a carve out for this one pipeline in the tanker ban.
No, and
Not
and
good enough.
now, Sheila Gunn, tell me if you thought this at the time. Do you believe that the audience that Danielle Smith was talking to heard for the first time that Alberta levies a provincial carbon tax? Because I feel like that was news to the people of Alberta
No, we
in that
know
really.
that. It's something that the feds have used against us. Like, oh, you guys are fine with a carbon tax. an industrial large emitters tax. So you should be fine with the carbon tax on the other side to the consumer. And
Interesting.
the normal people who are paying attention are like, actually, we hate them all.
Well,
Can't we just hate them all?
Considering how many Albertans turned out last April for the national carbon tax protest, an
Yeah.
awful lot of people hate a carbon tax, no matter how it's applied, no matter how it's levied, no matter who collects it, no matter how it shakes out in the wash. People are rapidly waking up to the fact that the carbon tax is a grift. It is a grift, and no tax-paying person wants to have anything to do with it. That the government of Alberta found a clever workaround to tax the people of Alberta and the industries in Alberta. Well, that might have to end. And if enough people start chatting about it, it likely will.
Yeah, I don't want to hear either, ooh, industry is supportive of it. Not industry, the big five oil producers, because they're big enough to work around this, but the juniors are not. And also, those guys are heavily subsidized for their Pathways Alliance carbon capture Magic Beans project. So, of course, they're like, oh, yeah, of course, we can,
what does Jeffrey Rath call it? It's like a magical sucking machine, or what did he call it? It was just so funny. A magic
vacuum.
suction.
Yeah.
Carbon vacuum.
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing.
A carbon Dyson, and we're paying Dyson prices. So
it's Magic Beans. We sold the cow for Magic Beans.
Yep.
But the UCP AGM was not all MOU badness. In fact,
it was not.
It was a lot of goodness. Almost all, save for one of those excellent policy resolutions passed. We'll go through some of them.
So good.
And one of the policy resolutions that passed was that we must fight against federal overreach into Alberta jurisdiction, including emissions taxes.
Yes.
Which shows us that the MOU is vastly, wildly out of line with the will of the party membership. But Premier Daniel Smith says it will use its constitutional jurisdiction to ensure Canadian citizens are prioritized over foreign migrants. This was one of the things that she announced in her speech. And her speech was just full of red meat for Conservatives. No audio.
Constitutionally protected provincial rights, Alberta will return to a more stable number of primarily economic migrants so that newcomers come here to work and contribute as they have historically done, while Canadian citizens living in Alberta are given first priority to the jobs and the opportunities our economy creates. We will restore the proper balance and ensure that our immigration system becomes a strength to our province again. And although right-sizing Alberta's growth rate is critical, our province cannot afford to delay.
Okay. And that's how it should be. Party members also passed a party policy that limits party membership to permanent residents and citizens, so that non-citizens or people who don't have a stake in this country can't swing a nomination, as has been the case in the past. And that's directly cribbed from Saskatchewan's policy.
100%. That's what happened. Saskatchewan learned the hard way what letting just anybody in the door of your nomination process will do. We nominated a bunch of people that had no chance of winning because their supporters couldn't vote in an actual election. It was disastrous in the last Saskatchewan election, and they fixed it a couple of weeks ago. It's good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep. Other policy resolutions involved bringing coal-fired electricity back online. That has been my dream, like my fantasy football policy to make life more affordable, to stick it in the eye of the feds, to completely shake off the climate scare, and to avoid those rolling brownouts. Also, bring back coal mining jobs, coal generation stations. The Sheerness plant will come directly back online.
Like all of the infrastructure is still there. We just
still
need
there.
the political will to do it, and it looks like Alberta just got the political will to do it. So
Yep.
great. Coal and corn coming out of Tabor.
Oh, it's just an absolute delight. Now, this is the big one that's making the rounds through all the Gunn circles. Premier Smith announced that she will ban all provincial and municipal entities including police. And this is a straight shot over Calgary. If you get any ideas, Edmonton with your progressive mayor, if you get any ideas, sorry, you exist at the pleasure of the provincial government and they can override you. She will ban provincial and municipal entities, including police, from enforcing or prosecuting gun owners under the Liberal gun grab. As she went one step further, if you're a dirtbag and you break into an Albertan's house, Albertans are able to use whatever force we want to deter you and save our own lives. And we should not have to think twice about what will become of us if we save ourselves from the bad guys, which, I mean, this is such an incredible policy.
But we aren't stopping there. I'm announcing today that next week, our UCP government will be introducing a new motion under the Alberta Sovereignty Within a United Canada Act that will, if passed in the legislature, instruct all provincial entities, including our municipalities and law enforcement agencies, to refuse to enforce or prosecute under the federal gun seizure program.
Or prosecute. Nobody will be prosecuted in Alberta if something accidentally happens to a bad guy in your house.
On purpose, actually. On purpose. She's basically saying it can happen on purpose. Sorry, bad guys.
Sorry.
Now, the Sovereignty Act motion will also make it clear that these agencies will not enforce or prosecute Albertans defending their homes and families from intruders.
Standing ovation, partial standing ovation.
She got plenty of them. Yep.
Did she? Yeah.
Yep.
I got a little tip for low-life criminals out there. If you don't want to get shot, don't break into someone's house. It's really that simple, isn't it? It really is. We want our great men and women in law enforcement and our justice system to spend their precious time and effort going after criminals, not farmers, not ranchers or sport shooters, nor Albertans defending their families and their homes. Imagine that, right?
And
good times.
How fast did she move on that? It was just announced today.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nobody is able to move faster than the government of Alberta. Once they get a bee in their bonnet, they're gone. So yeah. Very good.
She also said in that speech that she will absolutely not back down on her efforts to protect women and children from the trans madness. She said, let them come for us, but we're never backing down. So
biggest balls in Canada, right there on those lady balls are just growing bigger every day. I love it. I love it. More of her.
On that same topic, we've got the Western Standard. Our friends at Western Standard asked Mickey Amory. He's our justice minister. You guys had a bit of a meet cute, but we'll save that for another time. In the Western Standard hospitality suite afterwards. Anyway. Mickey Amory
I can't even hear his name without just wanting to.
There he is.
Oh, Mickey, he's lovely. Look at him,
he's hilarious.
Ginger.
He is
scrappy ginger. Just
very
beauty.
Funny guy. Great sense of humor. He said that all provinces and territories are united against Carney's gun grab, and he mocked the failed pilot project in Cape Breton, where 22 guns were handed in by widows. I'm sure was like, take this gun. I don't know what to do with it. And that cost $7,000 a gun, by the way. So let's hear from Mickey.
What exactly does the province intend to change regarding how police handle self-defense cases involving firearms?
Well, look, we've said for a long time that Albertans have the right to use reasonable force to defend themselves. That is enshrined in our criminal code. It's enshrined in our culture and society. We'll continue to make sure that that is the case. We're going to work with our Crown Prosecution Service. We're going to work with our policing detachments to let them know that Albertans deserve the right to protect themselves. They're entitled to do so. They're allowed to use reasonable force, and there's nothing that's going to change. What we are doing is we're revisiting our guidelines and our protocols to make sure that that is enshrined both within the Crown Prosecution Service as well as our policing services here in Alberta.
And how will this new legislation operate with the federal criminal code?
Well, look, we're always going to be able to operate within the federal, within the criminal code, but what is important to take away is how it is interpreted by the Crown Prosecution Service when deciding whether or not there's a reasonable likelihood of conviction, as well as whether or not prosecuting is in the public interest. And that's the important component here. Is it in the public interest to prosecute innocent law-abiding Albertans who are defending their homes, themselves, and their families? I don't think it is. Of course, we're going to have to look at those on a fact-sensitive, case-by-case basis, but generally speaking, we want Albertans to know that we will stand behind law-abiding individuals in defending their homes and their families.
On to the gun buyback.
I think that's probably good, just time permitting. We want to get to a massive daily cringe, and I want to talk about Ottawa getting what Ottawa deserves with regard to a land claim. But
can't wait to get that. Yes.
Mickey's exactly right. Is there any public interest? Does the justice system is burdened? Does it make anybody any safer to prosecute somebody for defending their own lives in Alberta while time is running out on people who are convicted of sexual assault or drunk driving? They're not getting to trial because we don't have enough Crown prosecutors. The justice system is overburdened. Does it serve the interests of Albertans to try to lock up somebody who shoots a bad guy breaking into his house on a rural property? Definitely not.
And because Canada's judicial system has become so ideologically captured, what the government of Alberta is saying, if it's not in the public interest, it's not going to go forward. If these prosecutions only serve to bolster the careers of the prosecutors and impress the judicial, the judicial sort of, I don't want to call this is a terrible way to say it, but like the judicial circle jerk, that's not good enough for the government of Alberta. And they're going to make sure that innocent people aren't dragged through a mile of mud for defending their families or themselves or their homes.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I like Mickey Amory. I
Me
like
too.
him a lot.
He's got a great sense of humor. We'll just leave it at that, unless you see us in person, and maybe we'll tell the story then. Let's go to, I just want to briefly touch on this religious freedom thing because it's in the headline. We'll break it down more tomorrow, but just be aware Rebel News has got something cooking for these people. The Liberals are colluding with the Bloc to carve out sections of the criminal code that prevent you from being prosecuted criminally under hate speech laws for your sincerely held religious belief. And that they're using, I'll tell you why they're doing this. The Hamas adjacent radicals every week in Montreal protest at a cathedral. They are open calls for genocide. They're violating probably several different traffic laws. But instead of dealing with that, the open calls for genocide, which are already dealt with under the criminal code, the support for a known terrorist organization also dealt with under the criminal code, plus the traffic laws, that's also a local ordinance that they could use to deal with these people. Instead, they're saying that everybody who has a sincerely held religious belief, if you say things the Liberals might determine to be hate speech,
That's right,
you can be prosecuted criminally. Now, my problem is, if they're not going to use the existing laws to deal with these losers you see on your screen before you, what makes you think they're going to use the new laws against them? It's almost as though they're going to use the new laws to go after the people who are guilty of misgendering, who are guilty of marching for the unborn, the people who are guilty of believing that you shouldn't be transing the kids. That's who the Liberals are going to convict of hate speech.
Anybody that speaks out against MAID, anybody that speaks out against abortion, anybody that speaks out against radical gender, anybody that speaks out against, the climate alarmists. These examples are all examples that the government is going to use against Canadians. This must be stopped at any cost. At any cost. And if it doesn't, you will see the West leave. This is an unprecedented, an offensive attack on religious freedom in Western society, and it absolutely must not be allowed to go ahead. This is a red flag moment for Canada. Like, absolutely insane.
Think about what they're
this is
doing here.
happening.
These Hamas radicals protest on the steps of that cathedral in Montreal, and who do the Liberals go after? The people praying inside the cathedral instead of dealing with the people outside.
Well, or the journalists outside,
Exactly.
right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, they never put their focus where it needs to be put for fear of being called a whatever. They want to stay in their little virtue signaling bubble while throwing the rest of us in jail for having deeply held beliefs.
Right.
This
And
is
if you
insane, you guys.
and if you think we're making this up, they locked up our pastors during COVID. This is their second kick at the can. If you don't believe me, talk to Pastor Phil Hutchins, who spent 7 days in solitary confinement against his will for holding Thanksgiving celebrations. Pastor James Coates, I think it was close to a month he spent in jail. Pastor Artur Pawlowski, in and out of jail, arrested like El Chapo on his street. Pastor Tobias Tisson, Pastor Derek Reimer, and that's not all the pastors who were harassed, like Pastor Hildebrandt's congregation, Pastor, oh no, I'm so sad. I'm so sorry that his name escapes me. The one who was arrested in Calgary in front of his crying children who were reaching through the bars. Efron, whisper it in my ear. Adam Sos covered it so extensively, and I ran into.
Is it Marco?
No, I ran into Tim Stevens. I ran into his wife at the Charlie Kirk vigil, and then members of his congregation at the UCP AGM. They're coming after those guys again.
And like that was COVID era craziness, but now we're in a situation where pastors could be arrested and imprisoned for what they say during their sermons.
In the services, they were arrested previously for the service
on the altar
themselves. Yes,
this is absolutely insane and contrary to everything that makes Western society great. Truly, this is repugnant by the Liberals and the Bloc. You know what? Screw you both.
Well, this is the Bloc wants this, and this is the Liberals buying the Bloc's favor to prop up, selling out religious freedom to maintain power. That's what the Liberals are doing.
Dave in the group chat says, "Don't forget Church in the Vine." Of course.
Of course, Church in the Vine. Now, they never went to jail, but they did get an $80,000 administrative penalty. Thanks to you at home, we were actually able to get that overturned. Imagine taking $80,000 from a church.
Imagine.
That was the Alberta government under Jason Kenney.
Scumbags. Absolute scumbags.
Yeah. And Mark Miller, who said just a few weeks ago in committee that Christians should be incarcerated for uttering hate speech. He's back in cabinet. He was appointed back to cabinet yesterday. So this is coming unless we fight back. Anyway.
In the new country.
In the new country. This will not be a thing.
We will not do this. No, in the new country. Giving us all the more reason to want to leave. By the way, Ottawa.
Let's touch on just this. Yeah, he suggested prosecuting people for preaching Bible verses that he finds hateful.
Get bent.
You don't need to listen to it, but
get bent.
I've got a video coming tomorrow. You can watch it. This quick thing of Ottawa just getting what it deserves. Chief Jean-Guy White Duck, I suppose, of the Kitigan Zibi Ashinabeg First Nation, started a land title claim for much of the Ottawa Valley and Quebec.
Couldn't happen to better people. So happy for you guys. Excellent.
You know what?
Keep
you
going.
can have her.
Absolutely.
He cites the land title challenge in BC as a motivating factor.
Of course he did. It set precedent.
I speak on behalf of my nation. We occupied the Ottawa River Valley territory, and we have 9 communities in Western Quebec and 1 in Ontario. Pikwakakan in Ontario. We have Abitibi-Winnie, Temiskaming, Cabouette, Wolf Lake, Long Point, Kitsayakik, Lac Simon, Barrier Lake, and ourselves, Kitigan-Zibi. We're one of the closest one to the Ottawa Centre here. This is our traditional territory. We've never ceded this territory. We claim Aboriginal title to this land.
Okay.
We deal with a very difficult government in Quebec who does not recognize any rights outside the reserves. And the federal government doesn't step up to the plate to defend our interests. And it's a constant battle. So our community has chosen recently to launch a title case for sectors in the Ontario side and also in Quebec. We feel it's the only way we can pressure the governments in place to advance our cause. We know in British Columbia there's been successful on title, and so we've chosen to move ahead with title case on several key areas in the region here. We hope that will motivate governments to act properly with us. We really deplore Quebec's bad attitude towards First Nations. They recognize nothing outside the reserve. They give us lip service to our rights, and it's a constant battle. So we challenge Quebec to take the responsibility also. They are here on our land. It's thanks to the Algonquins and other nations who allowed them to be here once the French was defeated in this country. And now they talk about a referendum again to separate the country again. This is our territory. We own the land.
No. Do you though?
Do ya?
No. Guess what all those land acknowledgements got us, Canada? This.
Yep.
Absolutely this.
Couldn't happen to a nicer bunch in Ottawa, I'm telling you.
Absolutely not. You know, all of those people that were so anti-trucker convoy, well, they're about to watch if what's happening in BC is going to happen in Ontario and Quebec, they're going to have so much uncertainty. Their house prices are going to plummet. Everybody is going to be in a humongous panic. And you know who deserves that? The people of Ottawa. I'm so delighted by this. Like, actually, for once, I am delighted by this.
I'm cheering for this.
Go down, First Nation. Yeah.
You know what? As Shania Twain once sang, dance with the one that brought you. And this is for the Liberals to dance with the ones that brought them. You know, you won't shut up about reconciliation. I believe in reconciliation. I believe in economic reconciliation.
The only kind.
The only kind.
Yeah.
They keep telling me that they care about their chronic compulsion to give these land acknowledgements. Well, great. You can land acknowledgement yourself right out of a house for all I care.
And that's
just
exactly
don't do it to the rest of us.
Yep, that's exactly what he just said.
Now's
You're
your
on our
chance.
land. You've been acknowledging this for years. So well done. Yep. Well done, Ottawa. Good job.
Perfect. Again.
Gonna happen to a better bunch.
Congrats. Last thing, let's do the daily cringe. We'll wrap it up. We're all, Efron and I are slightly late for a meeting, but the Aussies talk too much, so we'll get there when we get there. Let's go to this Methodist pastor.
United Methodist pastor. If you guys needed another reason to not think well of the United Church, here it is, everyone, the daily cringe.
So the United Church of Canada is different than these guys, but also the same. If you've driven past especially an urban United Church these days, try to find yourself a crucifix around there. You ain't gonna. Like, you're not gonna. These vestments make me want to puke. But anyway, take it away, Methodists.
Absolutely not. They texted me this morning and they asked for me to tell you all that they do not support me.
Those are his parents. Don't support him.
And that they have chosen their convictions and their beliefs over supporting their child.
Yeah, when your kid's doing wrong, yes.
Nervous when there's a special announcement from the pastor. I'm not leaving.
Too bad.
Hold on to that. I'm going to hold you to it. So rarely do I did not get into ministry to talk about myself or my personal life, but sometimes there are things that happen in a pastor's personal life that is going to find its way out into ministry. And so I am inviting you to join me in a season of creative transformation for myself, and I think for all of us. Imagine, so I get to announce with joy that I'm transitioning. I'm affirming and saying to all of you that I am transgender. And so the best way to put this is that I'm not becoming a woman, I'm giving up pretending to be a man.
What the hell does that mean?
What will change? Thank God you have never chosen me as your pastor based off of my appearance. Amen. I was waiting for that. None of you ever judged me, or that was not part of the intake process of me being your pastor, was because of how my face looked, or my body, or how long my hair is, or my clothes. Because at the end of the day, we know that clothes are just fibers. They do not carry an anatomy with them. So to say that something is girls' clothes or boys' clothes, well, they don't come with a reproductive system. Amen? So what will change? My voice. It might go a tad higher. Pronouns, she, her. But I'm not going to be pronoun police. Okay? Because I don't think that anybody will misgender or mispronoun out of malice. This is a process. It's a transition. What will change is my full name. I'm taking on for me Fiona's middle name so that we have that in common. What may change is that we might become known within the community as an even safer space for people who have felt marginalized. Are my parents okay with this? Absolutely not. They texted me this morning and they asked for me to tell you all that they do not support me and that they have chosen their convictions and their beliefs over supporting their child. I'm in the category of what they call asexual. I've been that way since we've all been together. Is that I am not...
Gross.
I'm not living my life in such a way that I am looking for romance. And that's okay. We all have to live the ways that we live.
I think that's enough. We settled this heresy at an early church council, but okay. Like, I don't know what manner of heresy that I'm looking at there, but I think it's all of them, including the violation of the first commandment, that we shall have no other gods but our one God, because this is him being the God of himself. And so abhorrent to hear this from a pastor, because he is making him the God. He's creating himself in the image of whatever delusion he holds, instead of the image of the divine, which the Bible repeatedly says dozens and dozens and dozens of times, but starting at the first Genesis 27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. And it goes on and on. Genesis 9:6, Colossians 3:10, Ephesians 4:24, James 3:9, Psalm 8:4-6, Genesis 5:1 and 2, Genesis 2:7. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Romans 8:29. It just goes on and on and on. And this is heretical. And I pray for the repose of this man's soul after his death, because I think he's going to have some trouble getting into the right place.
And the part that bothered me most, apart from the fact that he will never, ever, 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 ever be anything other than a man, is the way that he publicly dishonored his father and mother.
Oh,
by
gross!
Telling
just grotesque.
This is the most disgusting part of radical gender theory, is the abandonment of mothers and fathers in their own children's lives, the expectation by these people that are playing with their identities this way, that their parents should buy into this madness. And when they don't, they are vilified publicly. This man should be ashamed of himself, and there is no place for him within organized religion whatsoever. What an absolute disgrace.
Do you know what? And that's the thing. Like, I'm sure my Protestant brothers and sisters, many of you are good, Orthodox, Bible-believing people. You can't be okay with this.
No.
like you just can't. And that's why, I look at the United Church in Canada, which was created out of an amalgamation of 3 religions. That's your first mistake. 3 denominations joined together, which means that you have to compromise. And I think with the Word of God, you have to be uncompromising, right? And so when you're created, born of compromise, you just compromise yourself right into becoming a self-help group with a pulpit, which is what a lot of these progressive congregations have become.
Well, that's
Obviously.
exactly what we saw here. But there was no bigger cringe, I don't think, this year more than that one. Just disgraceful.
I have nothing but
gross.
Empathy for that man's parents. Nothing but empathy. This is his public repudiation of their strong moral compass, that they would not be okay with him in chronic mortal sin. I think as parents, we should never be okay with our children being in chronic mortal sin.
No, we should be upholding parents in this battle wherever they emerge. And certainly he did not give his parents a head up that he was going to put them on blast to his own congregation. And we should be 100% supportive of parents who are non-affirming, because they are leading their children back to the truth. We should support truthful and supportive parents. The end.
To watch a religious leader supplant God for himself is wild. Ephron writes, this is surreal. I try not to watch United Church videos. This is my first. And he says they need an audience camera view added to this clip. I think they're all, if I understand the United Methodists, and I do a little bit, I think they were all like, yeah, right on, sister. Good for you.
That actually makes me sick. It just makes me sick. It just absolutely makes me sick.
Yeah. Ephron, I see you found a clip, but we'll on Blanchette in the House of Commons, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's wrap the show. We're late for a meeting. Thank you for joining us in this technically plagued late version of Rebel Roundup, but we promise you a show every day, and we do our very best to bring it to you. Sometimes it doesn't look or behave the way that we'd like it to, but we owe it to you, our viewers, to be here for you when you want to see us. Lise, thanks so much for being willing to turn up late and help me get through the show. Thank you.
That's the only way that I do turn up. So you are very welcome, Canada, and we will see you again tomorrow.
Yeah, Ephron, thanks for putting the show together. I know you were running all over the place today and dealing with technical issues, not even my own, his own. Thanks for that. And let's wrap it up. We'll see everybody hopefully at the right time in the same place tomorrow, 11 Mountain, 12 Saskatchewan, 1 Eastern. Tomorrow is the Buffalo panel where we talk about Western issues, and we're going to save a bunch of the stuff we didn't get to today for tomorrow. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And as we frequently say on the show here, if you find us offensive, maybe don't find us at all.